What's going on, guys? Babs is back with another tidbit video. Hopefully something y'all can pick up on. I got a message from Gordon on YouTube, as you can see right here. And he's basically asking, kind of to do a video on the way I putt. What am I looking at? How I come up with the numbers, all that good stuff. So, got the calculator out right here. Here's the calculator. Got my stopwatch here. So I'm just going to put a little collection of putting together real quick just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking at, what the numbers are entailed, the percentages, all that good stuff. So let's put this one together and see if we can have some fun. All right, so I entered the Pebble Beach front nine ready go. And this would be, kind of a ram putt for me. So I'm looking at this and I say 4 feet, probably down one. So if I were to type all that in per se, I get 4.2, and then we're looking at down 0.8. And that gives me about, 31% on the 15 scale. If I were to look at 4 feet on my quick ram chart, I would get 35%. So I know that I need to take a little bit off if I'm going to ram this. Now, naturally, I would just look at this, and based on the other videos I've done, I would take 4 plus 1 is 5. So I would move this over to 5. If I'm going to hit this 35%, that looks like a pretty good line for me to hit 35%. If I was going to count these dots, that's a little bit different. In which case, I'll hold the flag, let go in 3, 2, 1, and bam. And I just count the dots as they go across. Boom, 3.3 seconds. So that's where I would enter right in this, field right here was 3.3. And then you'd kind of wonder, okay, what's my aim? My aim is 8.3. So obviously this is 10 through the line. And then that's 5 right here. So 8.3 is right in this area. If I were to look at the percentages, obviously it would be either 46 or 40%. Because 8 is less than 10. 10 is 50%. And again, you got to realize that I'm doing this in my head very quickly. I'm not taking the time to talk this out like I am now. So that's where I just assess, this 40% look good, 40% looks a little high to me. But that's mostly because I'm ramming this putt. So again, if I were to look at this real quick and put it right here where I thought it would be, and I hit it 35%, that's me choosing to ram it. But that's kind of how the numbers equate, because if it's less than 10, which equals less than 50%, I'm going to look at 46 or 40%. Those are the two percentages that I'm going to glance at as I'm looking at this putt. But, experience tells me I don't need to count the dots in that situation. I can just go ahead and ram it. All right, so here we hit a full spin 4-iron. Landed 1 yard short, but unfortunately, with Pebble being on this weird front slope here, it rolled back 3 yards. So I got this, longer than usual putt, unfortunately. And we're just going to have to run through it real quick. Probably not a whole lot of dots to count, but given that I know with the speed of this green, I'm not going to type in 6.7. I'm just going to type in 6. And you say, why is that? Because I've been on this green plenty of times, and I don't want to overpower the ball through all these dots. So in looking at this, I'm looking at the vertical dots. They're actually moving into the putt. So the putt's going to break, considerably less than it normally would. But if I were to count the dots, I would just take these dots right here and multiply by 2. Why? Because the entire putt isn't moving at the same speed. You have faster dots here. You have dots that aren't moving at all here. I go and I start the stopwatch. And then I look at these dots right here that are moving at double the speed these are. So what do? I take that one dot right there. Bam. 9.7. And I get 19.4. So type in 19.4. Boom. Uphill aim is 2.4. So that's going to be right about in that area. And then I assess my line. I say, okay, does that putt look a little low? Is it going to break it all? I think it looks pretty good. So I'm going to go back, check out my power, 60 scale at 31%, misting a little early if possible. in the hole. And that little double the dot situation I've done for a very long time. It gets me close to the hole, if not like that, in the hole. And that's just a trick that I picked up and I've consistently used, and it's got me right where I need to be. All right, so we finally got a putt we can calculate, we can work with. We're gonna go ahead and put all that good stuff. Got it into the calculator here, break out the stopwatch. So what I'm looking at is these dots are pretty consistent, but again, the end is a little faster than the beginning. So in turn, what dot am I gonna look at? I wanna look at the one that looks like the whole picture. So it looks like 2 and 4 are the average dot. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, start the stopwatch and stop it right when that dot gets to the line. Boom, so we got 4.4. So we type in 4.4. Voila, we get an aim of 21. Check the vertical dots just to make sure. So they are cutting off a little bit. So that might lessen how much we aim. So 21 would be either 117 or 140%. That's how I'm looking at that. So this obviously is 10. The next line over here is 15. And then the next line is 22.5. So 140 would be right in this ballpark here. Looking at our speed, we got 32%. Ball's gonna come up in this area and fall in. So we're gonna assess how that's happening as we're gonna hit this 30%. So I'm gonna choose 140 just to make sure everything is peachy. Make sure my misting is late. Let it catch the slow dots and let it trickle in. And that's kind of how I see that. So I assess that 21 is close to 22.5, which is 1.5 grids on JC Sneed. And then I go for the nearest percentage that represents what this number is, which is either 117 or 140, call it 141. So based on how hard I'm hitting it, I need more arc on the putt to get there, thus 140% looks like the best aim number. So I choose it, make sure I got the misting, and execute. And that's what got us a 25 on this Pebble Beach front 9 ready go. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see if I can put together another video just like this, maybe on a different course. Take care. All right, so we had to hit a 3-wood into this hole, unfortunately, but we're gonna work with it real quick like. Type all these numbers in, get the good stuff. 3.6, beautiful. Again, looking at these dots, I mean, they are moving left to right from the player's point of view. It's not a drastic movement. It is going to be some movement. So this is kind of more or less, outside the cup situation. Let's just say, for, stuff and giggles, we were going to count these dots. How would I count them per se? So normally I would say that's me holding the flag right there. So I'll hold the flag and then I give you an idea of what I do. So what I do is I break the grids up in the spaces in my mind. So basically, let's just say that, this is half. The dots start, where the red line is, and that's half. And I'll say, okay, at what point do the dots get where I can multiply this by something? Whether it be, that looks like 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, so forth and so on. You get what I'm saying? I pick a spot in my mind where I think these dots are going to move, and then I just multiply it by that certain amount. So I'm going to hit this in 3, 2, 1, and then I look at that and I say, okay, if I stop it right about there, I can multiply that by 7. Because it'll take me, 7 more times to get all the way across. So I'm looking at that. That's 28, call it 29. We're uphill. So I'll just put 29. And then looking at 29, making sure that everything is peachy dory. My uphill aim is 2.42, so that's right about in that area right there. And I'll say, okay, that looks pretty good for 12 green, so why not just give that a shot? So hit that, misting a little early. In the hole. That's basically how I treat that. simply by saying that I'm just looking at this real quick like and trying to, where was that? Did I already delete it? Yep, I already deleted it. Okay. I already deleted the picture. So I just pick a point in between the grids and then say, okay, it looked like it would take 6 more times to get across the grid. So I multiply by 6, get a number, voila, get my aim, look at the line, and then say, okay, looks like a good line, execute. All right, so we had to hit a 145-yard shot, left to right win. Unfortunately, had to, see if I can get a good position of this, probably not. Had to avoid the trees, basically. So here we are, we're on the high side of this hole. And, it can be a bit tricky. You just kind of have to keep in mind what the green does. So if I'm looking at this, looking at the vertical dots kind of cut things off real quick. So I'll bring this back out, get my stopwatch out, and say 1, 2, 3, and I'll stop the stopwatch. And looking at these dots, they're all pretty in unison. So I'm going to stop them right there. 5.5 is not a terrible number. Boom, boom, boom. Not 25.5, but 5.5 would be good. So I got an aim of 10. So my 2 percentages are 46 and 53. So this would be 46 right there, and that would be 53. So I'm just comparing the two lines. If I aim this at 46 and I'm hitting this 27%, is that going to fall into the hole? Is it going to break off? Who knows? It's about training your eyes to see what you're trying to see here. Obviously, we have this stupid box in the way, but I'm trying to look past the box at the 27%. And I'll look at 53, and to me, that looks really high. So I'm going to choose 46 and go with maybe a little more power. So I aim that 28%. Misting in the hole. But that angle right there is what makes me choose the 46% versus the 53, say 54%. That little bit of line and asking myself, which you've seen me do in other videos, does the line look too low? Or does it look too high? Vice versa. I ask myself both questions. All right, so I had this pretty vicious tailwind on number 7. Tried to run it up the hill. Unfortunately, it caught the hill and rolled back down. So that's unfortunate. So let's go ahead and just look at this putt. So all in all, this putt is not up 12 inches. It's up about 12 inches to that point. And then before it, it's flat. So it gets in this area pretty flat. Then it starts to go up to 12. So there's a 10-inch increase right in this area. And so what I do with a putt like this is for every feet distance, I take off the elevation. So in this case, I'm not going to hit it 12 inches. I'm going to hit it 10 inches. And that significantly changes my power. So as you see, 60% is 26.5. If I were to put this back to 12 inches, oh, that's not good. Where are we at? It would be, wait, what? All right, sorry, 60 scale is 46.5. I don't know why I was looking at the wrong scale. Now it's 49.50, so it's an increase of 4% if you have the wrong putting increase. So that's why I just take 2% off. I'm actually going to hit this on the 100 scale at 29. So let's make sure that we look at that real quick. Now we want to look at the actual line. And so we're going up a hill. I want to know where my vertical dot's facing. So right now, everything's kind of moving from left to right. And I'm always thinking in the player's point of view. But the vertical dots are moving right to left. And you say, well, how the hell can you tell that? So again, I draw this again. This is basically the line from the ball to the hole. The red dots are horizontal. They're moving. Player is looking this way. So this is his left. This is his right. The horizontal dots are moving this way from left to right. But the vertical dots, if you were to look way back here in relation to this black line, they're all moving this way. So if you were to look at the player's point of view, that would be right to left. They're moving against the putt. So it would actually hold the ball up more than you would expect. And so I just glance at that. But most people ask me, what do you mean by the vertical dots? And how can you tell which way they're moving? So let's put all this together. Move this bad boy over here. Say, okay, what dots am I looking at? Well, these dots are moving fast. These dots at the bottom aren't doing anything. So this looks like another double the dot situation, as I did earlier on the other course. So delete that, get out my stopwatch, and you say, what dots are you going to double? There's a shit ton of dots here. I'm going to double these dots that are moving fast. So I go right there, look at these dots, wait for them to cross, bam, 4.2. So I'm going to call that 8.4. Type in 8.4. All right. Oh, Lord. Where did I just type that? This is the beauty of why I don't use fingers on an iPad anymore. So now my new uphill aim is 13. So I'll say, okay, what are the closest percentages? 62% and 77%. So 62% for me would be right there. Of course, 76% would be right there. So I'm saying, okay, how does that ball look? Does that look too high? Looks too low? We're on 12 greens. So I'll say again, I want to look at 62%. Ball's going to come up, catch some fast dots. I'm going to go with 76%. And I'm going to put it out there. And we're going to hit this, 27% on the 100 scale. And see what happens. Slight early misting. Oh, baby. So you can kind of see how whether the wind held us up or maybe that wasn't exactly 27%. It was close. But the line was good. Our power was a little off. Maybe if I'd have left it at 12, we could have made it. Going back and look at that. And look at little things like this you kind of pick up over time. So if I hit that 30%, my aim would have changed from 11. So it would have been 65 or 79%. So anytime you change the power, it'll change your aim. Line was good, just needed a little more power. But all in all, doubling the dots put me right where I needed to be. All right, so starting basically a bracket round. I think it's the final bracket round. And then looking at this putt right here, I'm looking at 6 down 3 basically. But as you can see, the dots aren't moving much. But it is 12.7 greens. So one thing to keep in mind when you're playing on faster greens like this is to check the vertical dots. And why do I say that? Because the vertical dots will influence how the putt moves from the player to the hole. And by doing this, I see that there's moving pretty consistently, so I can leave it on the hole. If I were to misting early, it would actually be in favor of what these vertical dots are doing. So I would rather misting late in this situation. So we're looking at a putt that's 19%, but I'm going to hit it more like 25% because I want to ram through it by missing late as well. So miss late, and you see how the putt started to drift to the left. That's because the vertical dots are pushing it. So do keep that in mind. If I were to hit that at 18%, there's a very good likelihood that would have turned away from the hole because I gave the vertical dots too much time to act on it. All right, so here we are on hole number 13. And we're looking at this, and I'm going to call this again. Love to use hole numbers. So I'm just going to call this 6 up 1. And you say, well, is there really a big difference if you type in it in that way? Well, I can show you. 6.2 and up 0.7 is 44 and 22%. So if I were to just cancel this to 6 and change this to 1, keep in mind 44 and 22%, it's 45 and 22%. So it's not a whole lot of difference. I'm just saving time when I play by typing in hole numbers. That's all I'm doing when I do that. And so then you're kind of looking at these dots and I say, okay, normally I would ram this putt, but let's count the dots for old time's sake. So we're looking at this. That's moving kind of fast. These two and that first dot look like the average. So I want to know what those dots are doing. Again, because it is uphill. We get rid of that. Type in the good old 6.8. Uphill aim of 5. Not going to really look at the percentage because we don't need to worry about that. Our power percentage is 23, so I'm going to put this on 5. And looks pretty good, so let's hit it 23%. 30 scale with a misting. Voila. All right, so we got a pretty good round going here. We're on hole number 17. See some right to left dot movement, looking at the vertical dot, saying, okay. So it does move. It is 12.7 greens. And I wonder at what point, again, do I need to count these dots? Do I need to count them? Are they even countable? That kind of good stuff. So if you were to count them, again, like I've done before, pick a spot. 1, 2, oh, not that much. 1, 2, 3, and start it. And then I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, if I were to stop this anywhere along this way, say, boom, right there, I would say that would take 6 more times to get across. So I go 7.6 is 42. Voila, aim of 1.4, looking at the dots. They look pretty consistent. Put that around there, 1.4. Maybe a little closer. We're looking at power of 35. Rain in the 35 with a misting. Almost a misting. But you see how it's still turned. So maybe I could have done it by times 5 instead of 6, in which case, if I'd have did that, it'd have been 35. And then that would have given me an aim of 1.7. So I would have aimed a little higher. But we got the speed right, and that, I think, is what put us in the hole. So little things like that you can kind of tinker with and practice. That's just my way of not counting all the dots as they go all the way across the grid, because that's boring and it takes too long. So I pick a number and multiply. All right, here we are, best of par 3, slow greens. Unfortunately, Royal St. George didn't think that my 3-wood was worth a damn, so it came up a yard short and decided, roll down the hill. Have a good old time and roll down the hill. So in looking at this, I say, okay, 34 up 25, not exactly up 25. It's kind of up 25, and then it starts to die off. So I'm going to take a little elevation off of this. So instead of up 25, I'm going to go up 22, just to be safe. Just so that we don't power through it, kind of like the other time. So we got a 100 scale, 57%. Bravo. Voila. Looking at the dots, the beginning doesn't do a whole lot. The end is more consistent. So let's just kind of take half of these dots right there. So I say they're moving fairly well. Wait till they get halfway of the grid. Boom. So I'll put that in 12 seconds, because 6 times 2 is 12. And I got initial aim of 6, which would be right in this ballpark here. Now I say, okay, if that comes in, looks a little low, so I might add slightly more just to be safe. Hitting that roughly around 57%, give an early misting. Watch it come up. Not bad. Pretty close. Probably could have left it at 6. But for, just to be safe, I wanted to leave it there, see what happened, learn something about the green. But as you can see, I went 6 feet past the hole. And that's with taking 3 inches of elevation off. If I wouldn't have taken those 3 inches of elevation off, I would have had almost 61% on the 100 scale. So do be careful when you're playing on elevations that you do need to take off some you should take off elevation when you can. And then I just look at my 30 scale cheat sheet. 6 feet is 27%. Line her up, nothing too crazy. Hit it 27, 28%. Misting. Voila. All right, so here we have good old Marion, number 3. And we're going to look at these dots. Moving pretty consistently, so I'm just going to leave them as is, like that. And say, boom. Look like that'd be a pretty good number to start with. So let's go with 3.3. 3.3 gives us an aim of 19, which would be 116 or 145. So let's compare the two. So boom, boom, that's 116. That looks a little low. I think looks a little low given for what our speed is going to be. Coming around here, so let's look at 145. That looks like a better number. Not terrible as it comes up and over. So let's kind of go with that number right there. That looks like a good number to try. Late misting. Bends in. Oh. So even though we miss, you know, you can't get all the dots perfect, but that's what I mean when you're assessing and looking at this number and looking at what percentage to choose is it's pretty damn close. Just from getting an average of what the dots are and then choosing what two aims to go off of, you can still get yourself in the ballpark. All you have to do really is just learn to read the line and improve your eyes on what you're seeing. And that's all. All right, next hole. Again, not doing a whole lot. Let's look at these dots real quick. Again, I'm just going to basically wait for them to get halfway and then stop it. So that's about half right there. So I'm looking at, 13.6 on the seconds. So we'll knock that down, 13.6. Beautiful. Looking at our initial aim of 4. So we'll put my initial aim of 4. Looks a little low, so I'm going to add a little because it looks a little low. That's just an assessment I make. Hit that 25% with an early misting in the hole, right down the middle. So little things like that. When I say miss a little low or it looks a little low, I might just add a little more aim because that's me understanding what I'm seeing with my eyes. Back for more punishment on this best of par threes course. So we're on Bandon and obviously everybody's least favorite hole. So in here, beginning's not doing much. End is doing more. So I'm going to take the end dots and once they get across, I'm going to multiply them by 2. And that's kind of how I treat this putt like I did with the other one. In that sense that I want to know what that fastest dot is doing. So I got 9. So we kind of type that in here and I take 9 seconds, multiply by 2, we get 18. Now my downhill aim is 2.8, so it's right in that ballpark there. Ball's going to come in, might need a little more. We are on 8 greens, so that's where my thought process is. 36%, slight early misting. Ball starts to feed towards the hole. We're in the hole. And normally I do that a lot faster, but I mean, that's about as fast as I can do while typing on the iPad. But that's the trick that I've kind of learned is that I take the fastest dot, and if it looks like the opposite of the beginning of the putt, or vice versa, I multiply it. So I got 9 seconds, got 18. My aim looked good. Power had it right on, and that's how I treat that putt. Congressional number 10. Landed 2 yards short, spun back 2 yards. Always fun, always fun. Again, so you kind of got to look at this putt and you got to think, okay, Ross, are you going to double the dots again? I just might. So looking at these dots down here, I'm going to say, okay, I'll start them. And I'm just looking at these fastest dots down here. And these dots aren't doing anything right here. So I want to know what those dots doing. So boom, I got 19 seconds. So we'll just type in 19 seconds. It's a beautiful thing. Uphill aim of 2. Looking at how everything transcends. Ball's going to come right in this area. Got 2. Our power is 27% on the 60 scale. Slight early misting. And we're in the hole. And that's about how quickly I do that. So I just take the fastest dots. If it looks like they're moving way out of line and look like they're moving at the rest of the putt isn't doing anything, and I just double them. Find my line, learn to train my eyes to see the dots and what the putt is going to do, and then sink the putt. All right, last hole, par 3. Not a whole lot of dot movement. It is 8 greens. I do see some movement right here. This is more of an eyeball putt as to seeing that I'm just going to put it kind of right there on the outside of the green because it just really isn't anything to calculate. So, why trouble yourself? Just hit that 30% with a misting. And we're in the hole. But that's just learning. So, all in all, not too difficult of a putt. And that was best of par 3. So there you have it. Thank you, Gordon, for that question. Hope you guys kind of got a better understanding of, you know, just what I'm looking at when I'm putting. What I'm looking at whenever I have this spreadsheet out, and we're kind of going over things real quick, like as far as what the JC Sneed numbers are and how they correlate to the percentages that they associate with. So, you know, half a grid, you know, and JC Sneed is 10, that would be 50%, because half a grid is 50%. A whole grid is 100%, and JC Sneed is 15%. I just wanted to put that together so that you guys can get a sense of, you know, what you're seeing while I'm doing it with the spreadsheet on the screen, because normally, you know, I just have it on my phone and it's in my left hand and it's ready to go, you see, and it's there. So, you know, I'm playing with the mouse in one hand and I got the spreadsheet in my left hand and it's just go, go, go. Timer, stopwatch, you know, all that good stuff. So in retrospect, I have the spreadsheet out, but then, you know, I just double click and there's my stopwatch. And then I start the stopwatch, voila. And then when I have the numbers, I go back to the spreadsheet and everything is there for me. So that's how I play. That's usually why my rounds are pretty quick and how I'm able to putt rather quick. And I think that I'm a pretty good putter. It served me well. And so hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions. And I will see y'all soon. Yeah, take care. See you.